Chandrayaan-3. The Indian spacecraft has reached closer to the moon and is all set to make its soft landing on the lunar surface on the 23rd of August, which is a Wednesday. ISRO has said that it has successfully reduced the orbit of Chandrayaan-3's lander module. Launched on the 14th of July, the lander module of Chandrayaan-3 is successfully separated from the propulsion module 35 days after the mission was launched. The objective of the mission is, of course, set to demonstrate a safe and soft landing on the southern part of the moon. We're going to take the next half an hour firstly to just do a recap of where we left things off as far as Chandrayaan-2 was concerned, the launch of Chandrayaan-3, what it really meant, and of course some of the major updates that have come our way. So let's begin by simply putting out our touchpads on the screens for our viewers. I'm going to begin with, of course, a very important update that has come in from ISRO just 2 hours ago. They've said that Chandrayaan-3 is set to land on the moon on the 23rd of August 2023 around 6:04 p.m. IST. So this is why I wanted to read this out. Viewers, this is an official confirmation that has come in from ISRO that Chandrayaan-3 will be making its landing on the moon sometime around 6:04 p.m. So of course we expect all of India should be tuned in, of course, with the rest of the world to see these developments taking place. We've also been, of course, informed by ISRO that thank you for your wishes and positivity. Let's continue experiencing the journey together as the action unfolds live. And here, if you go to ISRO's Twitter account, you'll actually be able to see the ISRO website, YouTube and Facebook links, as well as, of course, them saying that you can watch the landing on DD National TV from 5:27 p.m. IST on the 23rd of August. Of course, when you tune in to NewsX, I'm sure you'll be able to, we will be happy to, of course, put out all of those details and the live tracking on the 23rd as well. So this is, of course, part one of what we wanted to inform our viewers about. This is the latest update that has come in, and these are some of the websites and some of the places where you can continue to track the developments as far as Chandrayaan-3 is concerned. At the same time, this is, of course, the official website of ISRO. It's called isro.gov.in/Chandrayaan-3. And this is essentially where you get all the mission updates on a very regular basis. There's also a brochure there. There's the launch streaming that they've also put out. There's the curtain raiser video, and of course all the other videos of the moon that have so far come our way as far as Chandrayaan-3 is concerned. Let me now take this conversation forward, like I said, step by step with our guests joining us. I have with me Dr. Ram Srivastav, former senior scientist at ISRO. We also have with us Dr. Priya Hassan and Dr. Vishal Chauhan, all scientists joining us on the broadcast. Let me begin with Dr. Ram Srivastav. Dr. Srivastav, on our screens right now, I'm putting out some of the last images that were taken by Chandrayaan-2, sir. So the image that we have on our screens right now is of the impact site, which was in the south polar region at a latitude of about 70 degrees south, and the green dots here, viewers, indicate the spacecraft debris. So this is where we left off as far as Chandrayaan-2 was concerned. What really, sir, went wrong last time around?
There is a lot of difference between the last time our attempts to land safely the Chandrayaan-2, and at the last moment we got some technical snag. It may be because of the some programming error or something extra which we don't know exactly, but what is there is that we could not land it properly, though it was working very well. Now, as far as the Chandrayaan-3 is concerned, we have taken all precautions. The lander module, the shockups are perfect. Now they cannot be broken, they will settle down, and the imageries which we will scan out before landing will be very perfect, and ISRO has conducted enough experiment on it, and now we are very much sure that it will land safely.
Yes, Dr. Srivastav, but just discussing Chandrayaan-2 quickly, so I just wanted to understand from you, the planned landing zone was the flat highlands between the craters called Manzinus C and Simplius M3. So I just want to understand from you, sir, if you can just explain to our viewers why exactly was this particular site chosen as far as the South Pole is concerned, which we know has been, it remains unexplored by anyone on Earth so far. But why exactly was this particular site chosen for Chandrayaan 2?
This site is chosen because this area is known as the Atticans, and it is actually the basin, and nearby this there are craters. One of the craters is so big that it is having the depth of near about 9 kilometers, bigger than our Mount Everest. So it is considered that since the shadow of the crater is never reaching to the base of that particular crater, so the primordial eras, the chemicals are still there, and the water which is frozen there, and it must be available because sun rays are never reaching to that particular point. The average temperature of the dark area, is sub-zero, minus 13 degree average. And when the sun rays are not reaching, then it is still cooler. So actually that area is so important because very recently on 9th of September 2022, the Chinese Cheng spacecraft went there, and not exactly exact place, but some other place, collected the matter, and they declared officially, it has been internationally accepted, the mineral which is known as the Chandrayaan, nominated as Y. It is containing helium-3 isotope, and if once the size of that is transparent, it is not at all radiating, it is not giving radioactivity, but it is of very small size, 10 micron diameter, but it contains a lot of helium-3. Once helium-3 is captured, then it can be used as a nuclear fusion energy for the future power station. So everybody is running towards that particular place because the main purpose of our lander is to study the thermal conditions and the seismic activity and the plasma which it will study, and the rover is designed to dig the particular place and find out the rocks, do the chemical analysis, send the data, and we will analyze. We will know very exactly what minerals are there, what is expected from the previous knowledge. They are having enough composition of oxygen there, hydrogen is there in those particular places, hydroxyl is there, one hydroxyl, H2O is water, but OH, if it is available, then that can be decomposed into oxygen and hydrogen that can be used as a future fuel for the other space expeditions. Now the more important thing is the minerals which are rare earth element. Lithium is there, titanium is there, and titanium is very useful. If we can collect it, it can be used in missiles, in constructing the other very important instruments. Lithium, as you know, is very important as far as the rechargeable batteries are considered. So rare earth element and other things which nobody knows what is the composition there, how much quantity of it is there.
Absolutely.
So for the future it will open a new era. Yeah.
Yes, and we'll come to that in just a moment. Let me bring in Dr. Priya Hassan as well. Dr. Hassan, currently we're showing some of the last images of the Earth that were taken from Chandrayaan 2. But coming, of course, to Chandrayaan 3, I'm just putting out some more visuals that were taken. If you remember some of these videos that gone viral, someone from a passenger airplane had actually captured the launch of Chandrayaan 3, and then we also had of course more visuals of more people in airplanes who were capturing the launch of Chandrayaan 3. We've just put out that video, ma'am. What lessons do you think were learnt as far as these two missions of Chandrayaan 2 and 3 are concerned?
Yeah, so like mentioned by Mr. Ram also, I think we would not even call it the mistakes of Chandrayaan 2, because in space, in the space, this thing having a failure is a part of the learning process. So I would say that Chandrayaan 3 is kind of a sequel to what we did not manage to achieve with Chandrayaan 2, but it's a learning process. And hopefully now with all the data we have, because we had the orbiter of Chandrayaan 2 inspecting the surface, right, since 2019. So there's good amount of data about details of the surface. So now we know to quite good detail about what is the region where we are planning the landing to be there, as well as a lot of changes have been made to the lander, to the structure, etc., to ensure that the landing will be soft and there should not be any problems. And I think, I do have all my hopes and expectations that Chandrayaan 3 will manage its purpose of being soft landing, and I think it's a progress in our in our space research.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring in Dr. Vishal as well, and we're just putting out some images of the moon by some astronomers that were also taken. Dylan O'Donnell, an astronomy enthusiast from MIT's GC Astronomy Center, had captured this visual of this photograph, in fact, of Chandrayaan 3 and its orbit when it was orbiting around the Earth. We also have another image. A group of astronomers from Sibula Technologies had taken this particular image of Chandrayaan 3. Dr. Vishal, I'd just like to understand from you, sir, why should the common man actually be interested in what's happening as far as Chandrayaan 3 is concerned?
Thank you very much, ma'am. And my greetings to Dr. Srivastav and Dr. Hassan. And as I am a teacher of physics, and I also teach astrophysics and space science to my students, I am also a poet from my heart. And the answer lies in my some lines which I have written just now. So if you permit me, I can share my lines with you.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. भारत माँ की ये धरती विज्ञानियों से न सुनी थी न सुनी है। भारत माँ की ये धरती विज्ञानियों से न सुनी थी न सुनी है, और ठान लिया है इस बार देश ने कि चांद की मिट्टी छूनी है। और ठान लिया है इस बार देश ने कि चांद की मिट्टी छूनी है। और पिछली बार भी देश का विक्रम बस थोड़ा सा ही चूका था। और पिछली बार भी देश का विक्रम बस थोड़ा सा ही चूका था, पर उसने ही अखंड विजय का बिगुल दिलों में फूंका था। और चूक नहीं अब होने देंगे, पूरी ही तैयारी है। और दंभ विश्व का तोड़ चुके हैं, अब चांद की चट्टानों की वारी है। अब परचम फहराएगा विक्रम और प्रज्ञान चांद पर टहलेगा। और 23 अगस्त को विजयी तिरंगा चांद के सीने पर फहरेगा। Thank you very much. With these lines, I want to tell you that apart from all science and everything, the main mission is to demonstrate the capability of India to the whole world that we are capable. We can do science, we can do scientific experiments, not only on Earth, but still we can do on the moon. So these are very important moments for whole India, for the youth of India, for all the students, for the generation. As our Prime Minister already said, this is the country of youth. In that case, it is very important that this mission should be successful, and we are sure that the capability of Indian scientists and ISRO is well prepared for this thing, and we will surely get achievement in this particular mission. And after that, we will perform a lot of experiments, scientific experiments, which will surely, as Srivastav said, a lot of new things about the different type of energy sources, minerals, and everything. So from these words, I would like to say that the whole world is looking for a victory of India in this way. Thank you,
Absolutely. And on that note, I'm also just going to put out some more information. Quite interestingly, Dr. Vishal, like I said, why is it that we should be interested in, of course, more for what the space sector has to offer? We've come across some websites that actually allow you to do some live tracking of certain satellites and spaceships and rockets that are currently in the air. There's one such website, and we'll just put it out on our screens as well for our viewers to see. This is a website called satellite-map.space, and of course this is showing all of Starlink, but there's another one called n2yo.com where we've currently put out for Chandrayaan 3 the tracking, and it literally actually shows you the path that it's taken over the past few days, and of course the current path as well. How do we educate, Dr. Vishal, the people of India and just more of our viewers on how is it that they can know better about the mission, they can know better about what's really happening, because the space sector is of course going to be now the next big sector in the decades to come.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, it is very important for students to learn first. Physics is the important thing, chemistry is important, and sciences are important. But to populate the space science, I would like to tell you one thing. As just like in this new curriculum of new education policy, and I am Graphic Hill University, and under the visionary guidance of Professor Kamal Gansala sir, who have started the BSc honors course. Earlier we were teaching only astrophysics and space science to the MSc students, but recently from this year onwards we are going to teach the BSc honors students also space science and astrophysics. So this type of courses will create an environment for the students that they can go in this particular field. As recently we know that the government has given some subsidies to the startups which are planning to work in the field of space science. So if we will do in this way, in fact, about teaching methods, as you told about the particular satellite website, tracking website, similarly there are different type of apps through which we can, I also teach my students about the stargazing, about the ISS live tracking. We have done a lot of lectures on this particular topic. We just show them the video of ISS, and the students all over roam in that ISS, and also they are able to track where ISS is at the present time. And in the evening, any person can see the live tracking of the ISS. Similarly, Chandrayaan we can see. So this is the way that we can make enthusiasm among the students by different methods. Also, there is option of rocketry, rocket science, like in NASA.
Yes.
People do some type of teachings to the schools by explaining the rocket principles. So we can do also in our schools and also in the graduate level students. That will surely make a boost in the youth about the space science and space technology and this type of missions.
Absolutely. And Dr. Priya, I've just put out once again the ISRO website where they've given out details of Chandrayaan 3, and of course the second deboosting has also now taken place successfully. If you can just help break this down for our viewers in simpler terms. Of course, what exactly does deboosting mean, and at the same time, how is that achieved in outer space?
Yeah. So actually what happens with satellite launching is that ISRO basically has a capability of what are called low Earth orbits. That is typically 500 kilometers. That's the kind of range they can go to. But if you want to obviously send it right to the moon, then you need to go to a much larger distance, right, 400,000 kilometers. And therefore ISRO has been using a standard technique, which is the slingshot technique, to actually launch satellites to the moon, to Mars, etc. And basically this kind of this thing, if you you have an image of it, or if you let me share my screen, I can show it to you. May I share my screen? Would that be possible, or?
I'll just try to get that sorted, ma'am. But if you can just explain, I currently have, in fact, a photograph open of the route that was created by ISRO in their brochure where you've said that they were explaining the slingshot, method. That is, so we have that photograph open as you speak.
Yeah, okay.
And so sorry to interrupt you there, just to inform our viewers that the green bit that you see on your screens, viewers, is where Chandrayaan 3, the lander, currently is. It's separated from the propulsion module, which had the major energy basically to go over these slingshot rounds over and over again around the Earth, and then of course around the moon as well. But now the lander has separated, and the lander is in the process of deboosting. So Dr. Priya Hassan, bringing you back to the conversation, ma'am, if you can just explain, how does one deboost the lander in outer space?
Yeah, sure. So thanks. So basically the thing is that, like I said, you have to go to a distance of about 400,000 kilometers, which is the distance to the moon. And typically ISRO does not have that kind of launch capability to go to that distance. Compared to, for example, the Russians, right? Lunar 25 was just recently launched and would take, even the Apollo missions just took 4 days to reach the moon. Now in our case we are taking almost 40 days. So what you actually do in the technique, in the slingshot technique, is that you launch the satellite and then at critical points you give boosts to the satellite so that you have an elliptical orbit, and then you get an even more elliptical orbit in every boost. So these are all what are called transfer orbits. So you start off with the first orbit and then you keep giving it boosts. So in the case of Chandrayaan there are 5 boosts like that, and with that you can actually get onto a large ellipticity. And in the 6th one, you're basically using the gravitational force of the earth. So actually this is an excellent method which is fuel efficient. You're using much lesser fuel and you're basically using the gravity of the earth. So then by the 6th slingshot you actually manage to escape from the earth. And then while this thing escapes from the earth, it has to meet the moon at a given point. Now when it meets the moon at the given point, it has to get captured by the moon, and that's when it starts orbiting around the moon. Now since we wanted to land on the moon, we have to deboost it. So what we did is, when it was from the earth, we boosted it because we were getting it larger ellipticity orbits so that it can finally escape the gravitational force. In this case what happens is, we get it to the moon and then we deboost it because we are trying to get it closer and closer to the moon. So you start off with a more elliptical orbit, and then like you could see in this thing, you have another set of orbits where you reduce the ellipticity, you basically get closer to the moon. So there's one, so there's about 5 orbits, right? You reach closer to the moon, and then this thing happened of the orbiters separating. Now what's very important in this is that it's an excellent method, like I told you, fuel efficient, but it requires very precise calculation of orbital mechanics, because you need to know exactly how much boost to give, when to give, so that you need the right orbit. Because for example, if you slingshot it towards the moon and you don't aim it correctly, you miss the moon, then you just lose your thing, right? So it has to be very well calculated, and I would give credit to ISRO, the ISRO teams for the teams who study orbital mechanics, right? And this is the theoretical teams who have to do it so well calculated. But ISRO has been doing that since such a long time. They've done it for Chandrayaan 1, 2, Mangalyaan, that they are kind of experts at doing this. And like I mentioned, this is a really fuel efficient, very good method. So the deboosting is basically, once the satellite is captured by the moon, you deboost it to get closer to the surface. And finally now we are like within 100 kilometers of the surface.
Okay, and Dr. Priya Hassan, you've also mentioned that of course this is a method that is very fuel efficient, it's effective also, and we've of course done it earlier. Are we the only country that's employing this method right now, or is this something that other countries also do? Because as far as Russia's moon mission is concerned, I was told that it wasn't through this slingshot method that they launched their mission. They in fact just, if you can just explain to our viewers, what is it that they do? Do they just shoot it straight towards the moon? How does that work? Is it simply because more money is involved as far as these sort of missions of America, Russia or other countries are concerned?
So actually that's right. So for America as well as Russia, they have much more powerful launch vehicles. Their launch vehicles are so powerful that they can straight away shoot to the moon or even to Mars. For example, when they had the Mars missions also, they directly shot to Mars or to the moon, for example, and therefore they do not need to do this slingshot thing. So Luna 25, which is the Russian mission, which has also gone just now to the moon, it was launched on August 11th, and it'll go much, it'll go much faster, right? Similarly, the American one also, if you remember, even the Apollo missions, which happened more than 50 years ago, they took barely 4 days to reach the moon because they directly shot to the moon. Now these kind of methods are obviously much more expensive. You do need a much more powerful launch vehicle, much more powerful technology and expenditure. That's a big factor. And since ISRO has been actually working on a very tight budget, so actually it's not the question about what's better or worse. I think with ISRO we should give them the credit that we are making the most of what we have, right? We do not have the capability of, it's obviously best if you could shoot straight, right? Then you do not have to have these cumbersome calculations of how are you going to have your orbits and how are you going to reach and things like that. It would be far more simpler. But with ISRO, the strategy has been that we are making best of what is available, and with the present available launch capabilities, we are actually doing this. And therefore, I would say that so that's it. So with our present capabilities, this is what we can do. But Russia and US, they go it straight. They do not.
All right, very interesting again. Like I said, very interesting for us to also understand these things. Dr. Ram, I'll end with you. So I just want to understand from you, why do you think other countries are not then employing this slingshot method? Because India has already proven that it does work. It takes longer, but it's proven to work. And also at the same time, why won't you want your launches to be fuel efficient, to be economical?
The reason is very simple, because we don't want to take any risk while we are just launching it, and as soon as the vehicle is leaving the Earth from the escape velocity, it will go straight way towards the moon, and gradually we are changing its eccentricity. So in 6 different stages, we are keeping it close to the moon. And since, as we know very well, that moon is not having atmosphere, had it been just like Mars or Earth, then the parachutes may have been used to have a safe landing. So their deboosting is just like, for a layman to understand, deboosting means when we are moving fast in our car or in motorcycle or any vehicle, you have to apply brakes to stop it. Now deboosting is the process of braking the particular thing when there is no parachute, so it cannot decrease the velocity.
Right.
It has to proper down, because the acceleration due to gravity on the moon is 1/6 of that Earth. So it is very easy, but since the velocity is typically high, so we need deboosting means in the opposite direction of the gravity of the moon. We have to fire the engines for a calculated time.
Absolutely.
And the time we have taken a lot is simply because we don't want to take any risk. Whatever data is coming from there, we are analyzing it and then planning it, and that is one of the reasons the lunar 25, which was launched by the US Russia, it has just deviated from its orbit. Nobody knows what is the status.
Absolutely,
but we
yes.
And we are getting its data, and we have done lot of exercises on it, and now we are 100% sure that it will have a safe landing, not only safe landing.
And all of India, of course, is praying for the same. This was a very interesting conversation. I just wish we had more time, but I really do appreciate all of our scientists joining us and breaking all of this down for us viewers. We're coming back with a lot more on Chandrayaan 3 on the other side, so please do stay tuned.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.